I can't even believe that I live in a world where this thing exists. Besides, was anyone even asking for this? Anyway though, guys, it is I, Matt Montada. If you don't know what I'm talking about the Ghostbusters reboot. So, how do I talk about this movie? Well, let's first talk about the original. Wait, hold on. Don't focus on the two. Anyway. The original Ghostbusters happens to be one of my favorite movies of all time, and it's my favorite comedy movie. It has great comedy, great comedic performances, particularly from Bill Murray. And it is super rewatchable, and it has great effects at the time. So, when the trailer for this reboot came out, I was pretty much like everyone else. I was thinking that it was going to be trash. Then the second trailer came out, and yeah, it was just as bad. So, I saw the reboot yesterday, and what did I think of it? You could pretty much call me whatever you want now. Go ahead. I dare you guys to put something in the comments below. To call me whatever you want about what I'm about to say about this movie, because this movie is one of the worst of the year. It was a terrible, lazy reboot. But you know, I decided to give it more of a chance so that I can be surprised, and well, it did not satisfy me in any way. Oh, excuse me. So, let's first start off with the four main leads, who are the most annoying things in the entire world. And here's the thing about Melissa McCarthy. I might hate her, but I do think that she has the potential to be funny. I think she has full potential ahead of her. But the movies that she's given and the scripts that she's given just make me... They just make her a lot more annoying than she already is. The rest of them are just so annoying. Leslie Jones as the stereotypical loudmouth. She could have had potential because she's said to be like the smartest one of the group. She could have had potential to be this very smart character. But then it just goes into the typical stereotype of the African American loudmouth. And very missed potential. Everyone says that Kate McKinnon is like the best thing about this movie. I don't see it. The only one that wasn't so annoying throughout the entire thing was Kristen Wiig. But even then, she can't save the movie because the other three that are around her are just so annoying. And Chris Hemsworth is the receptionist in this movie, and he's very bland. And there's all these repetitive jokes around her being so dumb, and some joke about answering some phone or something, and it is just repetitive. That's another thing about this movie. The humor, like, oh my gosh, I didn't even crack a smile. All they ever did was just make me cringe and made me roll my eyes. They think by having all of this modern humor and all this humor that's very modern and very crude and all that, they think they're being funny and clever, but they're not. As for the effects on the ghosts, oh! If you guys thought that Warcraft had bad special effects, that was nothing compared to this. And you know, at least Warcraft had some good effects. But no. This is bad. This is garbage effects. And there's even moments where they try to be like a horror movie and stuff like that. I'm not going to talk about it that much, but it pretty much fails on that standpoint as well. As for the villain of the movie, very uninteresting, bland, one-dimensional, pretty much anything you could call him. And the climax just keeps going on and on and on. I felt so bored. That's another thing about this movie. It's just so boring. It just keeps going and going and going. And what else is there? As the writing as well is just so lazy. It just makes the story just seem so predictable. The writing is just so lazy. That's another thing that makes it so boring. The story is pretty much so predictable. And it's pretty much just so boring. As for the cameos, they really didn't need to be here. I'm not going to spoil who they are, but they had no purpose whatsoever. And there's moments where it tries to recapture the spirits of the original, but it just doesn't work for me. It just didn't. So guys, I hate to say it, especially for the first time on my channel, that I'm giving this grade, but I have to. The Ghostbusters 2016 reboot gets an F. please don't see this movie. I beg you not to. I'd say save your money for next week. For next weekend. Because Star Trek Beyond is coming soon. And I can't wait for that. Because I'm going to watch it on my mom's birthday. By the way, sorry I didn't get to review anything last weekend. Couldn't fit anything to my schedule. But yeah, that's all I have to say about the Ghostbusters reboot. It gets an F. But yeah, see you guys later then. Bye.